Hi, this is Travis Shaw, Director of Education with the Virginia Piedmont Heritage Area, coming to you today from the historic village of St. Louis in Loudoun County. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the noise of all the cicadas that are here right now. You might see them buzzing around my head. But I'm here in St. Louis today exploring the history of one of the more prominent African American villages here in Loudoun County. Now, of course, when we talk about St. Louis, the first question most people have is, how did this village in Loudoun County get the name St. Louis? There's a few kind of competing theories as to how the name came about, but the most prominent theory goes back to the McKay family. The McKays are one of the more prominent, well-established African-American families here in Loudoun County. The story goes that at some point after the Civil War, a member of the family went to St. Louis, went out west, and after spending a few years there, returned to southern Loudoun County, and gradually the name of the home plot here in what would become the village took on the name Little St. Louis. Now, whatever the case, by the 1880s and early 1890s, the name St. Louis had stuck, and this village is going to be recorded in deeds and in other documents as St. Louis kind of from 1891 on. Now, the village is really going to have its roots in the many of the formerly enslaved families in the area, families that had worked on plantations, owned by the Delaney's, the Carters, other prominent landowners here in southern Loudoun County. After the Civil War, after emancipation, they're going to start congregating here, and by the 1880s, 1890s, the village of St. Louis had really made its mark here on the landscape of southern Loudoun County as a prominent African-American community. There's a number of businesses, stores here, and also churches. The church is going to become one of the cornerstones of the black community in the decades after emancipation, and particularly into the early 20th century as Jim Crow legislation really makes segregation the law of the land here in Loudoun and here in Virginia. So the church that you see behind me is certainly one of the more prominent institutions, more prominent buildings here in the village of St. Louis. There's a cicada in my hair. This church that you see was built in the 1920s, and it was built to replace an earlier structure that had stood just east of here that had burned around 1919. As I said, the church is one of the foundational cornerstones of the African American community here in St. Louis, particularly in the 20th century under the leadership of men like the Reverend Thornton Johnson, who really is one of the more prominent members of the community. And again, you see a lot of the same names that pop up, a lot of the same names that are still prominent in the village of St. Louis today, including, oh man, that is on my face, including the McKays, the Johnsons, the Proctors, and other families. In our next video, we are going to go visit one of the other important cornerstones of the village of St. Louis, and that is the school. So I hope you guys will stick with me. I hope no more cicadas land on my face, and I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit as we talk about the history of education here in the village of St. Louis.